So now, ladies and gentlemen, live and in colour, it's Mr. Wayne Love Juice.
The other day our producer Louis had a chat with an interesting chappie who said that the YouTube algorithms really aren't that happy if a channel only broadcasts once a week, so we decided we could text ya whenever we've got a piece of news in our new book on the track Xtra.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Downs. I'm the director of the Centre for Fortean Zoology, which is the largest, and we like to think the best, cryptozoological, broadly, organisation in the English-speaking world. Welcome to another episode of On the Track Extra. For those of you who don't know, On the Track is a show about mystery animals that we broadcast for half an hour every Saturday afternoon and for about half that on Wednesday evenings. This is one of those 15-minute-ish programs. Now, this year we've brought you quite a lot of interesting news from north of the border in Scotland, and we have some updates for you this time around. First of all, according to the Daily Mirror, Aleister Crowley didn't die in 1947 and has repossessed Boleskine House and is carrying on doing his baleful, influential things upon the longest lake in Britain. Yes, because if you look at this story about the first Loch Ness Monster sighting of 2025, the eyewitness reported seeing a black mass beneath the water. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. I will admit that I've been making jokes about Loch Ness and its denizens for many years. For example, some years ago when it was claimed in all the newspapers that the Loch Ness Monster could be a whale penis, I pointed out that in order to have a whale penis you actually needed to have a whale as well. And how was a whale going to get into Loch Ness? And when I discovered that quite a few whale penises are actually a ginger colour, a reddish brown, and there were all sorts of stories about the shenanigans of Prince Harry in the news at the time, I couldn't resist making a joke about a little ginger prick. And then, of course, there was all the furore about how the Loch Ness Monster could well be a giant sturgeon. And I pointed out there probably couldn't be a giant sturgeon in Scotland. Who's ever heard of a sturgeon in Scotland? And, of course, there was the time that Leanne, one of our guests, was talking about her adventures over the years in and around Boleskine House. And when she was a teenager and her boyfriend and another friend were staying the night in the shelter, the little hut in the Boleskine graveyard, and they felt something running past them and out into the graveyard. And I said that I couldn't tell them what it was. I couldn't tell them the exact nature of whatever it was that had been frightening them so badly and had been running out into the graveyard, but I could tell them which direction they'd taken. And she said, why? And I said, because it was obvious. It would have taken the left-hand path. Oh, goodness. But joking aside, according to the official Loch Ness website, A potential new sighting of the elusive Loch Ness Monster has captured the imagination of locals and visitors alike, as part of the creature's body was reportedly seen emerging from beneath the water at Doris Beach. A witness observed what appeared to be a large dark mass beneath the calm, still waters of the loch. The sighting, described as part of the body of Nessie submerged beneath the water, has left us intrigued by the possibility of a new glimpse of the legendary creature. The conditions on the day were ideal for spotting unusual activity, with the water surface perfectly calm and still, offering a clear view of the mysterious occurrence. The sighting, which lasted for several minutes, has been reviewed by the Loch Ness Centre, and it has now been claimed that this is the first potential sighting that it has been notified of in 2025. But there's more interesting news from Scotland. Only a matter of weeks after the 4 lynx were dumped in the Cairngorms, another lynx has been spotted near a town called Newton Stewart in the south of the country. According to the BBC, on the 4th of March 2025, an investigation has been launched after reports of a possible lynx sighting in the south of Scotland. Police said that they have been made aware of the incident in woodland near Newton Stewart at about 12 noon on Wednesday, the 26th of February. The sighting was reported to the police on Friday, and who said that officers were working with partners to establish the full circumstances. The force added that if there were any further sightings, the police should not approach the animal and contact police on the 101 number. Nature Scotland said that it has also been made aware of the situation and had put out trail cameras in the area to monitor any activity. Nearby landowners have been informed, it said in a statement. But there's more. The story then, again on the BBC, a couple of days later, said no evidence has been found so far of a lynx after reports of a potential sighting in the south of Scotland woodland, according to Nature Scot. Police were alerted to a sighting near Newton Stewart on Friday. A spokesman for Nature Scotland told BBC Scotland News, "We have searched for animal signs in the area and so far found evidence of roe deer, badger and fox, but no signs of lynx." Police Scotland said that its inquiries were ongoing. It then goes on to describe the shape of lynx scat. Now, I've got a mysterious cat of my own who's coming up to join in all this fascinating stuff. This latest report takes place 208 miles south of where the lynx were reported and recaptured in January. However, up at the original location, more animals that shouldn't be there have been reported. 20 wild swine, and I'm not going to call them wild boar because that's one of the great misnomers currently used by the media and indeed by people who should know better. Wild boars are the males, wild sows are the females, wild swine are the species, and 20 of them have been reported near Kingussy in the Cairngorms, which is where the incident in January involving the 4 lynx which were recaptured, 3 of which survived. Now, the paper's stories then now go on to come up with a series of shock claims about how swine fever can kill human beings and the amount of damage that they are likely to do. But the interesting thing is that as far as we're aware, these are the first wild swine to be released illegally in any numbers into Scotland. They've been released already, as one is already aware, in various parts of England, most notably the Forest of Dean and parts of the south coast near Romney Marsh. And they are also found in various parts of Devon after a large number of them were released by animal rights activists some years ago on the south side of Dartmoor. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just taking time out for a moment, and this isn't time out to ask you all to press the subscribe button, the like button, and comment, which I'd like you to do if you want to, but this is actually me telling you about something interesting that's just happened. I've spent the last 45 minutes on Facebook Messenger with Louis, and he's finally sorted out remotely the problems I've been having with OBS ever since I got the 2 new cameras. Because ever since I got the 2 new cameras, I didn't know how to do half the things I needed to do. But now, look, we are widescreen. And we can, as well as being widescreen, we can actually have side by side. Because look, down there, I'm still not very good at pointing on the camera. But down there, you can see the camera is ready and it's focused on the sofa where Richard or whoever else is talking to me will be sitting. As it is, there's nothing there but a pile of crap at the moment, but we are at least showing willing. Now, let's get back to the subject of what do appear to be unofficial and totally illegal reintroduction programs. As I have said in this show before, I'm not completely against reintroduction programs that are carried out unofficially. After all, the legislation put out by successive British governments is so bloody complicated that it takes ages and thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds to do what somebody with a modicum of common sense could do for a fraction of that. And on many occasions, they are successful. The most obvious one that comes to mind is the reintroduction of beavers to the United Kingdom. Because beavers were hunted to extinction in the 16th century, allegedly, according to Harting's book, The Extinct Animals of Britain, the last beavers were, wait for it, found on Loch Ness, of all places, and were killed in 1588, which is the year of the Spanish Armada. However, they've now been reintroduced quite successfully to many parts of the United Kingdom, and now, possibly because they realise what a good idea it is, and possibly because they realise there's nothing they can do about it, the British government are now issuing licences for the reintroduction of beavers to England. This is a jolly good thing, and I don't think you're going to find anybody, unless you're a farmer who is growing trees for Christmas trees or whatever, I don't think you're going to find anybody really who's going to object, because beavers are small and cute. Wild swine, however, are large and make grunting noises. They've been reintroduced totally illegally and quite often by accident in several parts of England, but this is, as far as I know, the first time that they have been reintroduced in any number. There have been individuals released, but this is the first time I believe they've been reintroduced in any number into Scotland. Again, I think there's very little point in fighting these events because wild swine are recolonizing England at a rate of knots, and they are doing really rather well, and they are making the British forests, even though they are not the same as the original primeval forests of this country, they're making the British forests healthier and more natural. And they aren't actually doing any harm, really. Although there are farmers and there are all sorts of people, mostly with too much time on their hands, who would argue otherwise. Peanut, will you be quiet? And now we have an update. Most of this show was recorded a couple of weeks ago, but this was recorded this morning on the 26th of March, which is the day that we go live. Mike Playfair contacted me this morning to tell me that there's been another exotic animal dump in Scotland. 6 sugar gliders were dumped outside a little supermarket in West Lothian. They are now being cared for in a local zoo, which has released a statement saying that dumping them was a cruel and callous act, something with which I totally agree. There's no way that these tropical marsupials could ever have survived in Britain, whether or not they had been dumped in virgin forest or outside a cheapo supermarket. It is just another example of callous behaviour by people who should never have been allowed to keep. And that's about it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a particularly strange one, and if you've noticed the colour palette of my image changing at random throughout the show, it's because we have had all sorts of knock-on problems about the camera, but I think we're there. I'll be back on Saturday. What am I talking about on Saturday? Well, unless I'm completely mistaken, it's going to be the first part of the CFZ Summit. What's the CFZ Summit? Well, you're going to have to watch and find out. And if you're there watching it and I'm there doing my gubbins, I'll be seeing you.